Well, Tyler and I had an interesting experience last night. We were there and we were sleeping, and in the middle of the night, I'm not sure what time it was, but we heard this sound, and it sounded like someone had like a towel that was wet and they were trying to flap it dry. And I thought, and it was down towards the camp where Mike and Grandpa and Derek were sleeping, and John. And I thought, well, it's not raining, so what could possibly they be doing in the middle of the night? You know, I don't know what time it's, maybe 2, maybe 3, somewhere in there. And so, anyway, I didn't think much of it. And then I laid there for a while, and after a while I heard it again. And I'm thinking, what could that possibly be? And I'm laying there, and I'm starting to think, So on the side of Tyler's tents are 2 little plastic windows that you can kind of look out, and I looked down there kind of because they were camped kind of in the distance a little bit, and I couldn't see anything, but then I heard the sound. It was coming right from where Tyler's pack was, and Tyler's pack was on my side of the tent. It was about 20 feet away, and it was dark enough but there was a full moon where I could kind of see, but the things that I was hearing, they were not small sounds. They were from a big creature. It was from a big creature. So my heart started going as I was thinking, oh my, what could that be? So I'm peering out there and I just can't see it. So I open it up and I reach back and I grab my flashlight and I said, okay, I'm just gonna unzip it and I'm just gonna go out there and find what that is. And my heart is just racing and racing. And so I go, zip, I go out there and I shine my flashlight, and then out of Tyler's pack comes this head and looks back at me, and 2 big golden eyes are looking at me. And I go, ah! And what it turned out, his head was about this big, and it was this massive porcupine. And yeah, and his body was about this big. And with the quills that kind of, go off the end of his rear end, he was about this big. He was massive. And I was sitting there, and I was going, I was thinking, how am I going to get this guy to leave? And so I'm saying, hey, go, hey. And I came back and I said, Tyler, get your boots on. There's a porcupine in your bag. And then Tyler woke up and he goes, what? There's a porcupine in our tent, in our bag?
I'm kind of thinking, what? You mean like in the tent? And I'm thinking my sleeping bag, so I, get out of it like, where?
And so that time, I'm out there, I'm standing there in my underwear with my boots on, and I'm pointing at this thing, and this thing is just lumbering and is looking at me like this. And then I'm getting really scared too, because I'm thinking, can those things shoot quills at people? Because I've heard that, and I have no idea if they can or not. And so then I'm kind of hunkering down behind this little tree in case he shoots quills at me, and then I can dodge behind it. But anyway, so I said, Tyler, come out, come on, hurry. And while I was doing that, he slowly lumbered around, and he started walking off through the bushes. And so when Tyler finally got out, he didn't see it, but that thing must have been pretty big, because when he was walking, he would crunch on the sticks. I mean, the sticks would break. It would go.
Wait, Tyler didn't see it.
Nope, he didn't see it.
didn't
So what we did, he didn't see it. So what we did is he said, man, I hope his pack isn't trashed, because he had his head in the side of his bag. So we went over there and we found what he was chewing, and Tyler's hat was hanging on the side of his backpack, and on the side of his bill it's all chewed up where this porcupine had been chewing the side of his hat. But so anyway, my heart's starting to go, and right about that time, something just dives at my head, and it goes right in front of me, and it lights on the tree right here, about 5 feet up in the air. And I'm going, whoa! And so by that time, Tyler's and we shine our lights up there, and this owl had come and had shot right in front of my head, and he was about this tall, and his wingspan was about that long, and all he was doing, he was sitting in the tree about 5 feet from us, just going. And so we're going, wow! And it was a cool little owl, wasn't it?
Cool,
Yeah. So anyway, that was. So then we said, Tyler, let's move your let's move your thing, your backpack. So we got his backpack. We moved it over by mine. We looked at our watch, and it was about 4:20 at that time. So we went back to bed. I couldn't sleep because every little rustle. I was up and I was looking out to see if that porcupine, but he never came back.
So all this time, you're hollering, everything going on, And these guys never heard a thing, and they're right next to you.
Slept like a baby.
Never heard it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So
Porcupines will get you.
yeah. So anyway, it was massive. It was all brown, and it had long old needles all over its body and about that far out its rear end.
And fangs, its eyes were bloodshot.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Blood was dripping from its mouth.
Well,
So-
some of my hat was, but
So that was our experience. So what we ought to do is probably have Tyler show his hat.
Yeah. We got to memorialize that hat.
yes.
Sit up at camp.
Yeah.
So it makes this little sound. No, this was a boom. No.
Oh, okay. So like Jurassic Park, you got
You look down and you see the little water puddle start trembling.
spoof. Helicopter water.
That would be pretty good.
Okay, let's see the hat here.
So, yeah, I just started eating part of the bill of my hat, got through some of the plastic.
Chewed right through the chunks of plastic. Woo. Sharp teeth.
So put it on. Now it'll be a cool hat. It'll have a hat with some history. Look at that.
Much history. So-
Devil.
I'm wondering though how well that story's going to go over in Holyoke.
It was chewing my hat right off of my
Yes,
head.
it was
Yeah.
hanging off my hat.
As I was fighting back the owl, I was trying to get the porcupine off my hat.
I was gouging it with new stuff.
And then Tyler gets carried off.
Hey, you guys
by
ought to
the
do
owl.
that though. You ought to that would be funny.
Once
You guys ought to
long ago
reenact that
in
however you
this-
want to do it.
Yeah, once long ago in the deep forests of the Twin Lakes.
Action.
Who's ready for a story?
Me.
All right, gather around the campfire. Tonight we'll be telling the tale of the Twin Lakes Porcupine. Once, long ago, actually not so long ago considering we're only just now putting this movie out, there was a great tale of a fierce chief named Trent and his trusty sidekick, also known as Tyler. And they put on the most fearsome battle in the middle of the wilderness that any has ever seen, and it frightened all. Now, starting with our story is our brave young lad, our chieftain, Trent, who was asleep, and he heard a rustling, and he heard some cackling, and he comes out using his great superhuman abilities of night vision. He peered about to see what was the matter, and all at once he spotted this creature. He thought it was a bear, and so he had no fear, for he had fought bears before. But upon a closer gaze, he saw the most fearsome porcupine the Twin Lakes area has ever seen. Now, as a side note, porcupines generally only grow up to be about, not very big. Probably a maximum about, this big by about maybe this high, with quills about this big. The problem is this is a Twin Lakes forest area, in which case the porcupines grow up to about 30 feet tall, 15 feet high, with quills that look more like this. You can see why this would be such a fearsome beast. Back to the story. Now, as our brave chieftain faced off against this porcupine, he suddenly knew he would need help, so he called to his trusty sidekick, Tyler, to come to his aid. And they faced off, and they remembered stories of these gigantic porcupines and how they could throw their quills. And so they began dodging and trying to avoid these massive quills that were caked with poison, the likes of which could incapacitate a man in no time at all. Once they had done this successfully for a few minutes, they began to grow quite weary, and so they knew they must attack before the porcupine gained the upper hand. And so, pulling out the great katana, for which every chieftain has ever had, and Tyler pulling out his mighty enchanted dagger, for which was specially built for killing such monsters, they began their assault upon the great porcupine. the battle raged. The porcupine gained some ground and lost a lot more. They battled on and on through the night, and it began to grow weary and tiresome, until finally at last, Jeremy and his trusty dagger,
Trent.
the trusty dagger, also nicknamed Jeremy, started to glow with great light, in which case Tyler charged at the great beast, and Trent, taking this time, charged at with his great sword and slew the beast. The beast, now fatally wounded, ambled off into the forest, but they did not know defeat, for the great dagger Jeremy thirsted for blood, and so they chased it. But little did they know, great porcupines have other allies than just themselves, for which a great owl came and swooped down through the air and landed upon a tree, and proceeded to try to hypnotize them with its dancing stare, the likes of which does not work upon such great warriors as Trent and Tyler. They faced off, and the great owl dove at Tyler and tried to fly off with his small person. But Trent, seeing his comrade in trouble, ran after them and beat back the great beast. The owl then, regaining its ground, for one desperate final attempt, flew at Trent, diving at his head, but to no avail, for he dodged. Trent then, with a mighty leap, came up and killed the great owl, and then he proceeded to skin it and use its pelt for his coat. He then, being a great chieftain, with his trusty sidekick Tyler, brought the beast back to the camp, and they had a great feast. There was much rejoicing and much dancing, for which all were happy. And this concludes the great tale of the Twin Lakes mighty porcupine.
Yay! Bravo! Bravo!
Very good.
Let's have a bow.
Look at that, you got an entire dagger named after you. An enchanted dagger named after you. Take that.
I wish I could have a dagger named after me.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard not to crack up in the middle. I was so glad this was covering on my face because I was laughing the entire time. That was good. That was really good.
Awesome. Yeah, that was all in one shoot, too.
Good job.
And beat back the great beast.
Won't say goodbye, 'cause this won't be the end. No, I won't say goodbye, 'cause this won't be the end. To the best days of my life.